All right, y'all, it's Sam again for another episode of Elite Life with Sam. I am so glad that you tuned in today. I kind of have a treat for you guys. This one is going to be a solo episode, and I want to start dropping just nuggets of wisdom to you guys, things that I've learned over my life. I feel like I've lived so much life for a 37-year-old. So today we are talking about the 3 dumb mistakes that I made that make me smarter than most people I know. Now, this can be applied to business. It can also be applied just to real life. And if this resonates with you, I'd love to hear from you. So, real talk, some of the smartest things I've learned came from the dumbest shit I've ever done. I'm talking about hiring the wrong people, ignoring my own intuition, letting fear decide my timing, you name it. But you know what the best part was? I learned. I got sharper, and I don't make those mistakes anymore. Not because I'm perfect, but because I stopped trying to be everyone's friend and started being the woman I was meant to be. So today, I'm going to give you 3 of my biggest oopsies and the gritty truth of how I handle things now. Mistake number 1 is that loyalty is not a leadership strategy. I once hired the wrong person for a very important position, and I really thought they were qualified. On paper, they totally were. I let them hang around for way too long because I felt a sense of loyalty to them. They were toxic, they were draining, and honestly, a little bit manipulative. And because I ignored all those red flags, because I didn't want to be the bad guy, and I let them stay. I bent over backwards. I gave them chance after chance. Does that kind of sound familiar to you? Has there ever been a situation that you can relate to this in? The real lesson here is that I learned, and I hope you do as well, that loyalty isn't loyalty if it only flows one way. That is self betrayal. So, what do I do now? I have a strict policy that I don't let negativity hang around long enough to become a culture problem. I address it, and I address it fast. I cut it out at the root, or I lay down serious ultimatums. Expectations are clear, and I listen with an empathetic but unwavering heart. Leadership isn't about being liked, it's about protecting the vision. And that's going to come into play later. But the people actually doing the work are also the ones that are being guarded during this. Mistake number 2, mindset isn't a mood, it's a muscle memory. For a long time, my mindset was absolute trash, and I didn't even know it. Not because I was lazy, not because I didn't want better, but because I had just lived through so much trauma, so much manipulation, and gaslighting. I didn't even know who I really was. I thought this voice inside my head was me. It turns out it was just a loop of pain that I hadn't really processed yet. I lived in this fog of depression. I even had suicidal thoughts, guys. I don't say this lightly. I say it because I lived it. And if you're there now, I see you. Everything I saw was negative because that's all my mind was tuned into. And when that's all you see, that's all you can attract. The real mistake is that I let those thoughts go unchecked for way too long. I didn't know how I could take control until I got myself into therapy. Seriously, the best decision I ever made for myself. I stopped pretending I was okay. I stopped with all the toxic positivity, but the real lesson is that mindset isn't a mood or a sparkly morning affirmation that you say in the mirror. It's about facing the ugliest parts of yourself and saying, you don't get to run the show anymore. It's about being honest with yourself, healing old wounds, and choosing hope over helplessness. Now, when those old thought loops creep back in, I notice them. I think them because they're trying to keep me safe, and I remind them that I am fully in control now. Mistake number 3, timing is everything. And if that's true, then for a long time, I had nothing because my timing sucked, y'all. To put it bluntly, I could snatch defeat right out of the jaws of victory by quitting way too early or I'd hold on to a bad situation for entirely too long, kind of like it was a winning lottery ticket long after it expired. In other words, the third mistake I learned from was quitting too early or sticking with something for too long. Remember the song, You Gotta Know When to Hold 'em and Know When to Fold 'em? That's what I'm talking about. Imagine standing at a literal crossroads with signs pointing in opposite directions. Do I bolt at the first sign of trouble, or do I cling to hope that things will magically improve? Poor timing became a theme with me. Why did I keep messing up my exits and entrances? Looking back, it boiled down to the four horsemen of poor timing decisions. The first one is fear. Fear was literally riding shotgun in most of my decisions. The fear of failure or discomfort would make me give up way too soon. I'd bail on a project or a dream the moment it stretched outside of my comfort zone. But, ironically, the same fear made me stay too long in miserable situations. I was terrified that if I left, I'd fail on the outside, not on the inside. So I clung to familiar pain that I knew. Fear doesn't cultivate good timing, guys. It spawns tunnel vision and panic moves. The second one is lack of vision. I had zero long term vision back then. I couldn't see the big picture if my life depended on it. So I made short sighted choices. When you don't know where you're headed, any discomfort feels like a dead end. I walked away from some really amazing opportunities simply because I couldn't visualize what success there would look like. Other times, I stayed in place because I couldn't imagine a better path for myself. No personal vision means no anchor. Repeat that. No personal vision means no anchor. No guiding light to tell me, stick it out, it's worth it. I was driving blind, so of course, my timing was all over the road. The third one is comparison, the thief of joy, and in my case, the thief of good timing. I constantly measured my journey against everyone else's. If others seemed to be ahead, I'd panic that I was falling behind and would impulsively jump ship just to catch up, even if I was actually right where I needed to be. If others were sticking with something, I felt I had to prove that I could endure too, even if my gut was screaming, Girl, get out! Comparison made me deaf to my own intuition. Fourth one is people pleasing. And this one might be the biggest one of all. I was a grade A people pleaser, organizing my life around not ruffling feathers. I said yes to situations, commitments, and even lifestyles that weren't authentic to me just to keep others happy. I was allergic to conflict and letting others down, so I stayed and I betrayed myself. I walked away from things I actually really loved when someone else's opinion disapproved of it. My decisions were not timed to my needs at all. They were timed to everyone else's expectations of me. Timing is everything, but it starts with trust. If you don't trust yourself, you'll always be second guessing every decision in life. Once you begin to trust yourself, watch how your sense of divine timing improves. Once I began to learn to trust me, the coolest thing happened. I could walk away when work was done without agonizing self doubt. I could tough out situations when challenges popped up. I began acting on my own truth, even if others thought I was making a mistake or even made fun of me. And guess what? Nothing fell apart that was meant for me. The right doors opened, the wrong doors closed, and by learning to trust my gut, I was able to build confidence in myself. So here's the thing, I don't think that I'm better than anyone, but I do think that I'm wiser than a lot of people because, well, I've been through some shit. I messed up. Life humbled me. Then I figured it out. I would rather be sharp from failure than soft from fear. So if you're in your oops era right now, good. That means you're in the great arena of life.